So I'm going to go ahead and get started with our week one. By this point, you should have watched the lesson one video, and you should have started creating your budget. That lesson one video is about an hour long. So if you watched some type of recap and it wasn't a full hour long, you probably watched the wrong thing. So just want to let you know it is about an hour for each lesson that you'll need to schedule in. So we're going to pull up a poll question here because we are curious who actually did get to watch the full video. So you should see a poll pop up on your screen. The options are, I have already watched the video. No, I have not yet watched the video. I don't know where to find lesson one video, or what video. So getting some good responses. Looks like a lot of you have watched it, so that's good. One person said they don't know where to find lesson one video, so I'm just going to do a reminder. Every week after our classes, we will send out the recap of our meeting, and it will have the link to the lesson for that week. So if you are relying on email, you can go to the email that we send you from your FPU coordinator, and it will show that the link to the video that you need to watch for the following lesson. If you're logging into your Financial Peace University dashboard, you'll see on the left side options for, I think it's lessons and resources, or I can't remember exactly what it's called, but there is a section where it says lessons and resources or something like that. And you click that and it will take you to all of the lessons for each week. So I'm glad to see everyone's responding. Hold on one second. It's in our email. Okay. So sharing the results just so you guys can see. Most people had already watched the video, so we want to make sure that you're watching it before you come to the session for lesson 2. So if you have not yet watched lesson 1, please do that this week, and then also watch lesson 2 video so that you'll be prepared when we come together for next week. Okay, so now we're going to go into our lesson 1 recap. So I'm going to play that from here. Mom, I'll probably need you to come off mute just to confirm that the video is sharing. So give me one second. And if you guys have any questions while we're on these calls, feel free to put them in the chat. We are going to review everyone's submissions at the end. So if your question isn't answered in the things that we're saying and you want to just put it there for us to come back to, we can check on that at the end.
Well, hey, everybody. Sorry for the technical difficulties, but we're still going to keep moving with this. And as we start, we are going to open our workbooks to page 15, and we're going to start with baby step 1. So the key points we're going to be covering is that the baby steps focus on changing your behavior towards money through a proven step-by-step plan. And baby step 1 is saving $1,000 for your emergency fund. And it's a zero-based budget, and it's a tool that helps you take control of your money. So if you turn the page, we're going to save $1,000 for your starter emergency fund. So your first goal is to save that $1,000. And you want to do that as quick as you can. So you have to make saving a priority and focus all of your energy on getting this baby step done. And you want to do it fast. An emergency is going to happen. We never know when, but they just happen to pop up. So you have to be ready when it hits, and we want to be prepared. And we're talking about no credit cards. We're talking about real cash, how we can use that, and how we want to be able to cover it. So if we move on to page 17, we answer the questions. If we save $1,000. That will be for your starter emergency fund. And if you'll live like no one else now, later, you can live and give like no one else. So we want to be able to be blessed to be a blessing. Hebrews 12:11 tells us that no discipline seems pleasant at the time, but painful. Later on, however, it produces a harvest of righteousness and peace for those who have been trained by it. You know, a lot of times when we have to learn how to not spend money, we feel like we can't have a good time anymore. We can't go out and just, do the things we want to do. So it requires us to become disciplined so that in the end, we truly will have the freedom that we need to have. So by budgeting is actually simply a plan for your money. And a zero-based budget means that your income minus your expenses equals zero. So we're going to account for every single dollar that we have. And the free spirit, which is a type of a character that handles money, a free spirit feels controlled by the budget. And the nerd, he enjoys or she enjoys doing the budget. So we're going to move on to page 18. Because we're going to start a budget committee. In that budget committee meeting, you'll meet with your spouse to review your next month's budget. Now, you may not have a spouse, you may not be married. So if you're doing this by yourself, it's okay. Just write down everything that you're going to be learning. Well, hey, everybody. You sorry for the technical difficulties, like you never knew you had. We're still going to keep moving with this. How disciplined you really can be. As we start, we are going to open our workbooks to page 15, 1428 tells us, and we're going to start with baby step 1 to build a tower. So the key points we're going to be covering is that enough money to complete the baby steps focus on changing your behavior towards money through these pages, through a proven step-by-step plan. And baby step 1 is saving $1,000 for your emergency fund of something, and it's a zero-based budget, and it's a tool that helps you take control of your money. Oh, I need to change that, or oh, I need to do that, or yeah. We're going to save $1,000 for your starter emergency fund. So your first goal is to save that $1,000 to be able to, and you want to do that as quick as you can. Ourselves to build our lives. You have to make saving a priority, solid foundation, and focus all of your energy on getting this baby step done. He wants us, and you want to do it fast to build it properly. An emergency is going to happen. We never know when, but they just happen to pop up. So you have to be ready when it hits, and we want to be prepared. Sit down and we're talking about no credit cards. We're talking about real cash, that you're how we can use that. What are some of the things that we want to be able to cost you something? So if we move on to page 17, you have a plan that you can apply to those things that you want to do. And do you have enough money to $1,000? That will be for your starter emergency fund. So and as we live like no one else now, later, we're going to learn how to budget, live every dollar, give, and we're going to no one else take control. So we want to be able to be blessed and start making progress towards your Hebrews 12:11 tells us that no in the action steps you're going to create a zero-based later on. However, premium version of every dollar, and this is great news because we get to use this free. You know, a lot of times when we have to learn how to not spend money, we feel like we can't have a good time anymore. We're going to take the quiz, do the things we want to do. On page 20, it requires us to become disciplined so that in the end we truly will have the freedom that we need to have. So Christy, I'm going to let you take it from here. Budgeting is actually simply a plan.
Okay, so you guys should have already
and a zero-based budget means that your income
if you haven't, quickly go ahead and just answer them to yourself. So we're going to account for every single dollar, and you can let us know if you are.
And the free spirit, which is a type of a character that handles money, a free spirit feels controlled by the budget, and the nerd, he enjoys or she enjoys doing the budget. So we're going to move on to page 18 because we're going to start a budget committee. In that budget committee meeting, you'll meet with your spouse to review your next month's budget. Now, you may not have a spouse, you may not be married. So if you're doing this by
So we still
yourself,
have
it's
some
okay.
results coming
Just
in.
write down
Just
everything
looking
that you're
over
going to
some
be
of the
learning.
questions. It's
And
really
your budget gives
kind of a
you
mix of how you
control
feel about your
like you
budget. If
never
you're
knew
coming
you
in
had.
with
It's going to
the
help you
attitude
realize how
that
disciplined you
you're very
really can
mindful
be.
and
And that
you're
is a
paying a lot
blessing
of
too.
attention to what's going on with your
The word
money,
in
you're very
Luke
prepared,
14:28 tells us, suppose
how
one
you
of you
approach
wants to build
things,
a
or do
tower.
you kind of
Won't you first sit
just
down and
take it as it
estimate the cost to
comes?
see if
It
you
is
have
what it
enough money
is.
to
We'll figure
complete
it
it?
out. Not really
So
putting a lot of
as we're
attention
walking
into
through these
what's going on
pages,
or where the money is
when things
going.
jump
That's
out
kind of
and
more of the
start to
free
speak to
spirit.
you,
Some people are
make
a
a
little
little
bit of
note
both,
at the
or
bottom of the page
as Damon
of
and I realized
something
as
that
we took the
just
quiz,
you might have
we're actually
heard
half and
that
half. He was
struck your spirit,
for
that you thought, oh,
A and
that's
four B,
me,
and I
or
was
oh,
for
I
A and
need to
four B, but
change
they were
that, or
different.
oh, I need to
So
do
a
that,
lot
or
of the things
yeah,
that
I need
I'm a
to
nerd
understand
about,
that a
he's a
little
free
bit more,
spirit. But then the things that I'm a free spirit
because
about,
that's
he's a
where we're
nerd.
going.
So
We want to be
we're a little
able
bit of both. I
to
think we would fall in that category of a little bit of
apply
both.
ourselves to build
And I
our
see it's a pretty
lives the
good
way
mix. I'm
God
going to
wants it
share
built. So we
the
have that
results
solid
of,
foundation built on the
I'll give you
rock.
one more second if you want to get your answer
He
in.
wants us
Five,
to build
four,
it properly.
three, two,
He
one.
said in Luke 14:28, suppose
Okay,
one
so
of
you can
you
see the
wants to build a
results
tower.
of
Won't
where
you
we
first sit
landed.
down
It's
and
a
estimate the
pretty good
cost?
mix. We've got a lot of
Well,
people
what
that
are some
are
of the things that
um,
you're wanting to
kind of
build? What
across
are
the
some of the
board.
things
So
that, may
that is
cost you
our
something? Do
poll
you have a
question. Thank you
budget
for
set for
sharing.
those things? Do you have a plan that you can apply to those things that you want to do? And do you have enough money to complete it?
Okay, Mom,
Those
back
are
to
the
you.
things we're going to be looking at.
Okay.
Well, so as we move
I'm
on,
kind of a mix.
we're going to learn how
But
to
I think I'm a
budget
little
with
bit more of a
every
nerd,
dollar.
only
And we're going
because
to
my husband
take
will say,
control
whatever
of
you
our
want to
money and
do,
start
that's
making
fine, as long
progress
as it all
towards your
works. And he'll
baby
just
step
say,
goal.
you just
And
take the
in the
money
action
and make it
steps, you're
work,
going to
do what needs to be
create a
paid or whatever.
zero-based budget with
And
the premium
but
version of
I'm a little
every
bit more like, well,
dollar.
no, I know
And
this
this is
has to be
great
taken
news
care of.
because
I know we
we
need
get
to
to
pay this
use
bill.
this
I know that
free
this needs to
with
be
the
set
Financial
aside
Peace
because if
University.
not,
Before we
what's
get
going to
into
happen?
that,
So
we're
I
going to
honestly
take the
think
quiz
that somebody
starting
needs
on
to be a
page
little bit
20
nerdy if you're married,
that asks
just because
us
you have
if
to stay
we
on
have
top of
a
things
nerd
and
or
you
a
need to
free
know where
spirit.
you stand
So,
with your
Christy, I'm going to let you
finances.
take it from
Do
here
you
to
have
do the
any
quiz.
kind of,
Okay,
emergency
so
fund
you
set
guys
up?
should have
So that's why
already
you definitely
reviewed
want to
some of
get
these
that
questions.
first thousand
If you
dollars saved as
haven't,
quick as possible. Quickly go ahead
well, we're
and
going to
just
move
answer
on to
them to
page
yourself. And
22,
I'm going to
and we're
have
going to see
the
what
poll
you're
question
spending.
here. And you
So
can let
now
us
that you
know
know
if
whether you're
you
more of a
are
nerd or a free
a
spirit, it's
nerd
time to take the
or a
first
free
step into
spirit.
budgeting. And don't panic. This first step is simple. I remember I felt overwhelmed the first time I tried to set up a budget because I didn't know how to do it. I thought, how do I figure everything out? How do I make everything balance? I didn't quite understand everything, but the budget is your map for the month. Rachel taught you how to create a zero-based budget with every dollar. If you haven't watched that video, please watch it.
So we still have
But
some
to get to
results
where you
coming
want to
in.
go, you have to know where
Just looking
you
over some of the
are.
questions.
It's
It's
just like
really
driving. If you
kind
don't
of a
know your
mix
starting
of how
point,
you feel about
it's
your budget. If
impossible
you're
to
coming
get to
in
your
with the
destination.
attitude
So
that
that's why you do
you're
a
very
quick
mindful
start
and
budget.
you're paying a lot of
So it's
attention
time
to
for
what's
us
going
to
on with
fill
your
out
money,
a
you're very
quick start
prepared,
budget if you haven't done it yet.
how you
So
approach
this activity
things,
is really
or do
very
you kind
simple.
of
You just put
just
pen to
take
paper
it as it
and you start
comes?
thinking
It
about
is
what
what it
you're
is.
currently
We'll figure
spending
it
each month
out.
and each
Not really putting a
category.
lot of
And
attention
you'll notice
into
that there are a few
what's going on
categories
or where the
that
money
might
is
be
going.
missing
That's kind
for
of more of the free
income and
spirit.
or
Some
debt
people are
as
a
you're
little bit of
doing it.
both, or
And that's
as
okay
Damon and I
because as
realized
we're
as we took the
starting out,
quiz,
we
we're
just
actually
want to
half
get
and
a
half. He
basic
was
idea of our
for A
foundation
and
of
for B, and
what
I
we
was
have
for A and
going
for B, but they
on.
were different.
So step
So
one, you want to
a
write
lot of
down
the
your
things
spending
that
for the month in
I'm a
each
nerd
item of
about,
each
he's a free
category. And
spirit.
if
But
you
then the
don't
things
know
that
the
I'm a free
exact
spirit
numbers,
about, he's a
just,
nerd.
make a
So
good guess. Step
we're a little bit
two,
of
you want
both.
to
I
add
think we
up
would fall
each
in that
item in your
category of a little bit of
category and
both.
you want to write the total
And I
at the
see it's a pretty
bottom.
good mix.
And
I'm going to
step
share
three,
the
you want to add up the
results
numbers in
of,
all of the total
I'm going to give you one
boxes
more
and
second
write
if you
that
want to get
number
your
in
answer
the total
in.
for the
5,
categories.
4,
So as
3,
we move on
2,
to page
1.
23, this is your quick
Okay, so you
start
can see the
budget.
results of
And
where we
as I was
landed. It's
speaking
a pretty good
to
mix. You've got
Jaden
a lot of people
today,
that are
my granddaughter,
kind of
I've
across
just
the
been
board.
so
So
impressed with the
that
way
is
she's been so
our
disciplined
full
to budget
question.
her
Thank you for
money
sharing.
and to be a bit of a nerd in taking care of things and to just keep things in order. So I'm going to let Jaden explain to
Okay,
you
Mel, back to you.
what she experienced and how
I'm
she
kind of a mix.
wants to share,
But I think I'm a little bit more of a
budget
nerd,
idea
only
of
because
working
my
at a
husband will
zero-based
say,
budget so
whatever
that
you
you
want to
can
do, that's
understand
fine, as
how
long
it
as
all
it all
works.
works. And he'll just say,
So Jaden, I'll let you take it from
take
here.
the money and make it work, do what
Do you
needs
want
to
me
be
to turn my
paid or
camera on?
whatever. And
Sure.
but I'm a little bit more like, well, no, I know this has to
me
be
go ahead
taken
and do
care of.
that.
I know we need to pay this bill. I know that this needs to be set
Okay.
aside
Hey,
because if
everybody.
not, what's going to
My mom just
happen?
wanted me to
So
share just a little bit
I
because we've been
honestly
talking
think that
personally.
somebody needs
I
to
was
be a little
super
bit nerdy if
excited
you're
when we got
married,
every
just
dollar
because you have to stay on
because
top of
I
things
actually
and you
already
need
wanted
to
to
know
use the
where you
app. So
stand
when
with
we
your
got approved for this and it
finances.
became
Do
a
you
perk, I
have
was
any
super
kind
excited
of,
to set it up.
emergency fund set up?
If you have never
So
done
that's
a
why you
budget by
definitely want to
hand
get that
before,
first thousand
it is
dollars
a lot
saved
of
as quick as
work.
possible. But
So
we're going
like
to move
going
on to
back and
page
tracking all of
22,
your
and we're going to
expenses
see what
and
you're
pretty much
spending.
tracking all of your
So now that you
transactions that
know whether
you've
you're
done
more
and
of a
putting them
nerd or
into
a free
different
spirit,
categories
it's
when you're
time to
doing that
take
by
the first
hand.
step into
It definitely
budgeting.
gets very
Don't
tedious, and I
panic.
was one of
This
those
first
people
step is
doing it
simple.
by hand,
I
but I'm
remember
super
I felt
excited to have every
overwhelmed
dollar.
the first time I
It
tried to set up a
makes it a
budget
lot
because
easier. So
I
if you
didn't know
haven't
how to
already
do
set
it.
up your
I
budget
thought,
in every
how
dollar,
do I figure
you
everything
basically
out? How
can
do I make
link
everything
the app
balance?
to your
I
bank.
didn't quite
And when you
understand
connect it to
everything,
your
but
bank, it's going to
the
track
budget
every
is your map
transaction
for
that
the
you
month.
already do throughout your
Rachel taught you
cards.
how to create a
And you
zero-based
you have the
budget with
capability
every
as well to put
dollar.
it
If
in
you haven't
manually,
watched that
but it
video,
makes it a
please
lot
watch
easier
it.
when you can
But
link
to
your
get to
bank
where
to
you
it.
want to go, you have
And
to
then
know
once
where
you have
you
all those
are. It's just
transactions,
like
and then
driving.
you
If
can
you
set your
don't know your
budget
starting
the way
point,
that
it's
Rachel taught us
impossible to
how
get
to
to your
do throughout the
destination.
video,
So
you're
that's why you
able
do a
to
quick
basically
start budget.
categorize each
So it's
transaction
time
to
for
a
us to fill
category.
out a quick
So
start
when you have
budget
money
if you
coming
haven't done
in,
it
you
yet.
can put
So this
that under the
activity is really
category
very
of your
simple. You
income.
just
So
put pen
whatever
to
income you
paper
have,
and you start thinking
like
about
for
what
Aaron
you're
and I
currently
personally, we
spending
have
each month
4
and
different
each
jobs between the
category.
two of us.
And you'll
So
notice
I
that
have
there are a few
like the 4
categories that
categories
might be
for our 4
missing
different jobs.
for
And then when
income
something
and or
comes in, I put
debt
it
as you're
under that
doing it.
category
And
so that we
that's
can track
okay
what we're
because as
bringing
we're
in from
starting
each
out,
job.
we just want to
And
get a
then
basic
you can
idea
do the
of our
same thing with your
foundation of
expenses. So
what we
when there's
have
money
going
coming
on.
out, if
So
you know
step
you
one, you
got
want to
gas
write
or whatever,
down
you
your
can
spending
go
for the
to
month
that
and each item of
transaction
each
and put it under your
category. And if you
gas.
don't know the
When your
exact
rent or
numbers,
your
just,
mortgage comes out,
make a
you can
good
go to that
guess.
transaction and put it
Step
under your
two, you
mortgage.
want to add up
The
each
great
item
thing
in your
about every dollar
category and
as
you want to
well
write the
is
total
that
at the
it's going
bottom. And
to
step three,
show
you want to
you
add up the
where
numbers
you
in
may
all the total
have
boxes and write that number in
common,
the total
like
for the
reoccurring
categories.
purchases. So like if
So
it
as
sees
we
that
move
you're
on to
putting the
page
same
23, this is your
one
quick
underneath
start
of your
budget.
rent, it'll say, do you want to
And
put this under
as I
rent?
was
And it's
speaking
really like an
to
easy click, and
Jaden
you just put
today,
rent, and then
my
it's going to start
granddaughter,
tracking that
I've just been
expense
so
every month
impressed with
as your
the
rent, so
way
then
she's
you don't
been
have
so
to do it every
disciplined to
month.
budget her money and to
So
be
it's a
a
really
bit of a nerd
great
in
tool,
taking care of
especially
things
if you
and to
are
just
just
keep things in
starting to
order.
budget.
So
It makes it a
I'm
lot
going to
easier
let
than
Jaden explain to
going through
you
every transaction yourself through
what
your banks,
she
especially if you have multiple
experienced
banks
and
and
how
multiple
she
cards, because it gets very
wants to
tedious, like I
share
said.
this
But
budget
I just
idea
love
of
the
working at a
lesson, and
zero-based budget so
honestly,
that you can
how it says that a
understand
budget
how it all
gives you
works.
permission to
So
spend. I
Jaden, I'll
love
let you
that
take it from here.
because a lot of people
Do
can
you want
feel
me to
kind of
turn my
restricted with
camera
a
on?
budget, but it really is
Sure.
just planning where your money's going to go before you even
Go
get
ahead and
it.
do that.
So I love that, and it definitely can be scary at
Okay.
first to
Hey,
see
everybody.
what you're spending
My mom just wanted me to
already.
share just a little bit because we've
But
been
you kind of just
talking
have
personally.
to take the
I was
acknowledgement
super
of
excited
what
when
you already
we
have
got
been
every
doing so that
dollar
you know how to change it
because
and how
I
to
actually already
move
wanted to use
forward.
the app. So when we got approved for
So
this,
one of
and
the
it
biggest
became
things as
a
well with a
perk, I was super
budget, do not be
excited
scared
to
to
set
set
it
it
up.
up.
You're going to make
If
adjustments
you have
along the
never done a
way.
budget
So
by
the
hand
first
before,
budget that you're going
it
to
is a
set
lot
for
of
yourself
work.
is probably not the same
So like
budget that
going
you're going to
back
have
and
in a
tracking
month,
all of
and
your
maybe not even in
expenses,
2
and
months.
pretty much
You're going to
tracking all of
continue
your
to make adjustments
transactions
to
that
that
you've done
budget
and putting them into different categories
say
when
you
you're
make
doing
a
that by
certain
hand.
budget for
It definitely
groceries,
gets
let's
very
just say it's
tedious, and I was
$500
one of
a
those
month,
people doing it
and
by
you
hand,
realize
but
in the
I'm
last
super
2
excited
months
to
you've
have
spent
every dollar.
over $500. Okay,
It
well
makes
now
it a
we know that
lot
we need to up
easier.
that budget
So
a little bit
if you
because
haven't
we
already
can't really
set
make
up
that
your budget
work.
in every
So
dollar
every
you
month
basically
that you
can
are
link
tracking your
the app
expenses and
to
making a
your
budget,
bank.
you can always
And when you
change
connect it to your bank, it's going to
it's
track
just a way
every
to pay attention to
transaction
what
that
you're
you already
spending
do
and where
throughout
you're
your
spending it.
cards.
So
And
it's
you have
definitely
the
a
capability
process,
as well to put it in
and it's a
manually,
little
but
by
it
little,
makes it a
just
lot
step
easier
by
when you
step.
can
It's
link
not
your bank
something that
to it.
happens overnight.
And then once you have all those
And
transactions,
if you
and
aren't
then
already,
you can
I
set
do
your
encourage
budget
you to
the way
tithe the
that
same way
Rachel
that
taught us
Rachel
how to do
did.
throughout the video.
There's
You're
many
able
times
to
that
basically
God has
categorize
saved us
each
from many
transaction
situations
to
that
a
we could not have
category.
saved ourselves
So
from.
when you have money
And
coming
I
in, you
believe
can
that's
put that
following
under the
in
category
tithing.
of
So
your
if
income.
that's something
So
that
whatever
you're not
incomes
already
you
doing, I
have,
definitely would. Like for Aaron and I personally, we have 4 different jobs between the 2 of us. So I have like the 4 categories for our 4 different jobs. And then when something comes in, I put it under that category so that we can track what we're bringing in from each job. And then you can do the same thing with your expenses. So when there's money coming out, if you got gas or whatever, you can go to that transaction and put it under your gas. When your rent or your mortgage comes out, you can go to that transaction and put it under your mortgage. The great thing about Every Dollar as well is that it's going to show you where you may have common, like reoccurring purchases. So like if it sees that you're putting the same one underneath of your rent, it'll say, do you want to put this under rent? And it's really like an easy click. You just put rent, and then it's going to start tracking that expense every month as your rent. So then you don't have to do it every month. So it's a really great tool, especially if you are just starting to budget. It makes it a lot easier than going through every transaction yourself through your banks, especially if you have multiple banks and multiple cards, because it gets very tedious, like I said. But I just love the lesson, and honestly, how it says that a budget gives you permission to spend. I love that, because a lot of people can feel kind of restricted with a budget, but it really is just planning where your money's going to go before you even get it. So I love that. And it definitely can be scary at first to see what you're spending already. But you kind of just have to take the acknowledgement of what you already have been doing so that you know how to change it and how to move forward. So one of the biggest things as well with a budget, do not be scared to start. You're going to make adjustments along the way. So the first budget that you're going to set for yourself is probably not the same budget that you're going to have in a month, and maybe not even in 2 months. You're going to continue to make adjustments to that budget. So say you make a certain budget for groceries, let's just say it's $500 a month, and you realize in the last 2 months you've spent over $500. Okay, well, now we know that we need to up that budget a little bit because we can't really make that work. So every month that you are tracking your expenses and making a budget, you can always change it. It's just a way to pay attention to what you're spending and where you're spending it. So it's definitely a process, and it's a little by little, just step by step. It's not something that happens overnight. And if you aren't already, I do encourage you to tithe the same way that Rachel did. There's many times that God has saved us from many situations that we could not have saved ourselves from. And, I believe that that's following in tithing.
On page 23 of your quick start budget, you have giving, you have food, personal, transportation, and housing. You have 4 walls that you need to look at first. That would be your housing, that would be your transportation, that would be your food, and that would be your personal life. So right away, you say, well, I know how much my rent is. So you go to the housing box and you write down how much your rent or your mortgage cost you. Under utilities, if you pay electric or if you pay gas, you would list that. And this is just for the month, whatever you would pay. If it's a water bill that you get, I know in Florida we pay for water, so you list your water there of how much that would be. Start getting a basic idea with your groceries, you may not spend the same amount every week. So when you go to the grocery store, you say, well, I'm going to try to spend $50, or I'm going to try to stay under $100. Whatever you're spending each week, you want to make a note of that to try to get an idea of exactly how much you're spending every month. Do you go out to restaurants? I'm telling you, restaurants are a huge expense. You can blow a lot of money going out to eat at restaurants, and it's a blessing to be able to go out and enjoy a great meal. And I know we do it, but we have limited our budget to maybe once a week going out to eat, where previously, we used to go out sometimes 2 or 3 times a week, and we didn't think anything of it. But in understanding how much money we could be saving, we could go to the grocery store and buy some great food and come back and cook it and still enjoy a great meal. So things to consider with your giving. Do you tithe to your church? Do you have a charity that you give to every month? The Lord calls us to usually give 10% as a tithe to our ministry, wherever we may be attending. List that down. So with your transportation, how much do you usually spend in gas going back and forth to work to fill your gas tank every week? Write it down. How much do you spend on your auto insurance, if you know that figure? If it's something you pay for the year, divide it by 12 and put that figure in there. These answers do not have to be exact. So don't get upset and say, oh, I don't know exactly how much it is. You're just getting started with understanding that you need to start recognizing where your money's going, where your money's being spent. So this is an idea to get you started. Now, once you get started, that's where you're going to go into the program on page 26, which is the zero-based budget, where you actually start monitoring every month exactly what you're spending. As Jaden was explaining, you can tie it to your bank account and it will tell you exactly where every penny's going. Or if you're a nerd like me, you can sit every day for 5 minutes and just look at where you've been and save a receipt and make a note of it and keep a track of it. So you're going to know and tally exactly how much money you have. So the nerdy person is going to want to take it to the penny. The free-spirited person is going to say, yeah, I'm not sure I remember exactly how much it was, but it was somewhere in that range. And, I paid for it and it's okay. We want to become a little bit more diligent with our figures as much as possible so that we can know where our money's going. And with that, we will find out, after listing our income and then listing our expenses, what's left over. And we want to try to zero that out. And I'll be honest with you, the first time I did this, I did not have a zero. I was stealing money from other categories to try to get it to a zero to make it all balanced. So don't get upset if you're like, oh, I don't have a zero balance. You'll have to do this 2 or 3 times. And they actually explained through the teaching that it can take up to 3 months before you establish a zero budget, to know where your money's going and to understand exactly where every dollar is going. But once you start tracking those dollars, you're going to be able to zero in on knowing where you can cut in different categories to be able to fix things. That's why they say start with your first 4 walls, like your transportation, your home, if you have a mortgage payment or rent, your utilities, the things that are necessary that you absolutely have to pay for. Start with those things and it will be a little bit easier. So from there, you want to manage your debt. And we need to remember that we're breaking free from financial shackles, and we are not alone. Each one of us has come with some things that need to be taken care of. And when the Lord says come as you are, he means it, and we do. But when we come, we're usually broken in other areas of our life, but unfortunately we're broke too. And God doesn't want us to be broke. He wants us to be overflowing, as we talked about last week, with that cup that just keeps filling up. So as we move on, we want to look at that zero-based budget as being a roadmap to take us to wealth. We want to follow these steps. We want the income. We want to list all our income. We want to list all our expenses in step 2. We want to subtract the expenses from our income. And then we want to track our expenses, knowing what we're doing. And number 5, we want to be flexible. Don't beat yourself up. Just say, hey, this is an area I may need to work on. And then step 6, remember that our goal is to save that emergency fund, but we want to try to pay off our debt. One of the biggest challenges I think a lot of people have is in meal planning, because food has become so expensive. And one of the resources that I found that was very helpful is a video that Rachel has made, Rachel Cruz, and it's within your resource section. When you look at your homepage, there are so many videos that can teach you how to shop and how to buy gifts and how to plan things out. So be sure to keep moving. And if you have gotten through these first 4 steps and said, well, I kind of know this, I've broken through those walls and I'm moving on, then start thinking about retirement. Think about your golden years. If you've already accomplished steps 1 through 4 and said, well, this is the way I've lived already, well, consider your retirement planning and move on from there. But along the way, you're going to be monitoring and adjusting things as you go. Don't get frustrated. Stay on that path to success no matter what. Pray and ask for the Holy Spirit to help you. He will. He wants you to be delivered from debt. And use financial coaching that's available to you. I was on the phone last night with one of the coaches for an hour, and I'm telling you, I was so excited after I got off the phone, feeling like I had a new hope, I had a new vision, I had a new plan of putting some things together that I wasn't sure would work, and they kind of guided me through it for retirement. And it's just like anything else. It's just another season where financially you got to put the pieces together. So the first step is actually the easiest, and that's just kind of getting started, but it's also the hardest, because sometimes we can doubt, our abilities. Sometimes we can doubt our situation, but don't give up and keep moving in those things. So Christy, I'm going to let you take it from here, if you would, please.
So your finance journey begins now. Your action steps, you're going to create your budget with every dollar. I know I've talked to a few people who have already connected their accounts, as Jaden was talking about, in every dollar, and they're amazed at how the tool is so easy to use. It's tracking everything that they're spending. They're really excited. A couple of people have already met with the financial counselors and the coaching that's available through this resource, which has just been amazing. So feel free to reach out to a coach and get some information on what you can do with your next steps, the best way to do it. I know I personally am one of those people that reached out to a coach because of a very unique situation that I'm in, and just looking for wisdom on, what is the best step if I come into a certain amount of money. Like, should I put it towards debt, or should I focus on something different? Where is the best way for me to direct my funds? So it's really helpful, useful resources. So continue to work within your every dollar program and use every resource that's available to you. You want to work on that zero-based budget, trying to balance your income with what you're spending. I know a lot of people would say, well, there's nothing left at the end of the month. I'm actually a little bit over what I should be spending, or more than what I make, and I'm trying to make it all work within the numbers. How do I make it zero out? The coaches can also help you with that. They can help you to identify where maybe you can cut back on certain things that you hadn't considered. I mean, even me, I am quite a nerd when it comes to budgeting and figuring out how to move things around and move money and keep things flowing. But there were some suggestions that the coach made to me that I really had not thought about, and bringing it to my husband to say, hey, let's talk about what these options look like. How do you feel about this option versus that option? And they'll help you to find ways to make it zero out, so that you are accounting for everything that's coming in. And if you're upside down or spending more than what you make, they'll help you to figure out where to cut back so that you can set aside your $1,000 emergency fund, and they will help you get that budget in a working way that's going to set you up for success. So it's good to see where you stand after you look at all your numbers. And hopefully, if you're married, you're doing this together with your spouse. I think it makes a difference when you're on the same page and you figure out where those little loopholes are with your spending. That when you come together in agreement to see, okay, this is our goal, this is where we want to be, this is where we are at the moment, how do we get from here to there? So really talk through some of those things and encourage each other. Use those resources that are available to you through Every Dollar, the videos that are online. Make sure you complete all the lessons in lesson 1. You want to start working on lesson 2. So go ahead and watch your video for lesson 2. Again, if you haven't watched lesson 1 video yet, we want to encourage you to do that and then move into lesson 2. And they're actually pretty engaging. I felt encouraged listening to the lesson 1 video. It was, I'll listen to like 5 sermons a day. So I'm used to listening to people stand up and talk, but I felt like it was very engaging with my attention and kept me like interested in what he was talking about. So hopefully you find it as engaging and are gleaning from it the wisdom that you need to continue to move on. So just some extra income ideas. And I don't know if this came from the program or Mom, if this is something you created, but ways that you can consider adding extra income to your household. If you're upside down, like I had mentioned, and your bills are higher than what you make, got into a situation where you're in a lot of debt and you want to start working towards that $1,000 fund. There are some options here that we present about how you can potentially make some more money. So we hope that these are some good suggestions that you can consider, maybe things that you hadn't thought of before, maybe reaching out to your community and see if you can run some errands or house sitting, pet sitting. If you have any kind of creative abilities to make things, if you're good at catering, coordinating, anything like that, we just want to put these ideas out there for you so that it can become a way that you can bring more income into your home. And then, as we mentioned, the additional resources that are available to you. There's lots of benefits that come through the Dave Ramsey courses. Again, we're happy as a ministry to be able to offer this to you through a grant that was given to us. So please use it. There's so much here that's available, and between the videos, the coaching, the classes that we're offering, there's something for everyone. So we just want you to be encouraged. Contact us, reach out if you need help, but contact the Ramsey team. Feel free to go onto your login and see what kind of coaches they can match you up with. They're available to you. It has the hours there, Monday and Wednesday from 10 to 5, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday from 8 to 5. So that's a pretty wide schedule of times that you could potentially meet with someone. And then the contact number for Ramsey is the 888 number, 227-3223. So one final poll question we want to put out there for you guys. We just want to know how you're feeling. Are you feeling hopeful? Are you optimistic? Or are you like stressed and anxious or worried? And this is a multiple choice, so you don't have to pick just one. But we're just curious how everybody's feeling at this point. Are you frustrated at all? Are you feeling like, man, I really want to do this, but it's hard. It's a lot. You got to put a lot of effort into this. So see a lot of answers coming in. Just going to give you guys another minute or so to look at those options and see where you fall. Okay. So we'll share the results. Looks like, for the most part, positive. A lot of people feeling confident, optimistic, excited. But then, if you feeling anxious, worried, frustrated, cautious, all normal emotions to have in these stages of what we're doing. And yeah, hopeful, sorry, it's there at the bottom. But yeah, we're just really excited to be on this journey with you. If you're feeling anxious or worried or frustrated, don't give up. Don't throw in the towel and say, this is just too much. I can't do this. It's overwhelming. Reach out to one of those coaches, reach out to somebody that can help you um, to have a more optimistic outlook, to feel like this is something I can do. And yeah, it might be like an elephant, but just one bite at a time, you can get it done. So I'm there with you. I feel it. I've had all of these emotions at some point from the time that I started. Conversations Damon and I have had just going over things that, I feel like, how in the world are we ever going to do this? But then, confident and optimistic and hopeful at the same time to say, what, with all things, with Christ, we are able. So we are holding on to Jesus and believing that he is going to be our rock through this and that we will get through this. We're excited for you guys. We're happy to be a part of this journey in your lives. And, we just pray that, you're blessed this week as you're going into lesson 2. And again, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. Mom, you want to wrap us up?
Wrap us up in prayer. Yes. Lord, I just want to thank you for every person that has attended this class and for those that are even outside of this class that are joining at another time. I ask you that you will continue to intercede in their heart and soul and mind to bring about the perfect peace of God that will rule their heart. I thank you that you intercede in their financial affairs to continue to just bring, Lord, just bring a complete peace that allows them to know that you will not allow them to fall away or fall by the wayside, that you will continue to make a way where there seems to be no way in all of their situations. So we thank you for your favor and grace and mercy, and we speak the blessing of Abraham over each and every one of us. And we just thank you for that power of agreement being loosed right now in Jesus' name. And we'll see you next week.